So this is the 2016 Kentucky 5-star. You can see it was a pretty wet day, and again, apologize for the screen, but it's kind of like how I was seeing things. So for my warm-up, it can be pretty electric. The last 10 minutes is where I try to get Johnny to calm down, to get the heart rate down. And as they're counting us down, and just clearing my mind, and off we go. Heading to the first fence, really want to kind of get going, get in a good shot to it. And really the first couple of fences are about getting your rhythm and really kind of attacking the fences. So this fence number 2 is really imposing. I have experience from it from 2015, so know I got to ride pretty forward to this. It's massive oxer. So the max heights that we have go up to 1.20 meters with some of our max spreads to 6'6". So Johnny can make these look pretty easy, but coming to this oxer, I was a little mad at myself because I got that on the decrease, and you always want to, or I like to be coming on the increase, so kind of slowed the rhythm down there, and I didn't want to get to where I ride backwards, where you're coming underpowered to fences. So coming up now to this next big combination, which is the same as the year prior. So I knew I wanted to steady him a little bit and not come in too hot. So again, another massive table. And this isn't a 5, so I was able to do it pretty quiet. And then to a steady 5 to this chevron. And again, last year came in and I did that in 4 and 4. So I knew I wanted to just settle down so I could kind of keep up on my time, because I tend to ride a little slow in the first couple of minutes, and that gets me down on the clock. So I was really working on trying to stay on top of my minute markers. So sometimes throughout the course you may hear my watch beeping, and that's because it tells me it beeps every minute. And then we have what are called minute markers throughout the course, so we know where we are. Coming now to this big another ditch and wall, or it's a ditch and hedge, which is a fairly gallopy type fence. Johnny's pretty good with these. Was able to get a nice shot to that. And then I'm coming around to the duck pond, and I want to kind of change his balance a little bit because this is pretty upright. I want him to wrap around. And then this is in the 4 strides to the goose. Again, you want to have a good shape over that. And he did really well. And then it happens pretty fast now. We come right around. And again, you want to keep your speed up, but keep the horse's shape. And I'm able to keep coming, and he wraps around and then get his eye on the chevron. And he's such a good horse. He always goes for the flags. And now you'll be able to see this from the side view. I'm able to package him a little bit here. So you want to keep that shape so he can wrap around and not hit the stifles on that. Jumped over the goose good. And again, land and keep going so I can stay up, saving those precious seconds. And then just a slight rebalance here to keep the power. So again, he can wrap around, and he does. He lands pretty steep, and I'm on the back of my reins. My hands are wide to kind of help him see where we're going. But now we have this long hill up to heading towards the head of the lake. But first I have another double rail oxer, and you can just see all the people next to the ropes, which Johnny loves the crowd. It's always the best feeling to hear people cheer for your horse. Really enjoy the crowd. So now coming up, again, that was a good gallop. I want to make sure I have a little bit of balance here. Another massive oxer, and he just jumps it like it's nothing. And now this course is roughly around 6,300 meters, so around 4 miles. And again, he just makes that look like light work. It can be deceiving when you watch these incredible horses go around these tough courses. They make it look so easy, and in fact, it's difficult. Every time I ride a 5-star, I always think it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Coming to the big ditch and wall, what Kentucky is known for, and I finally got a good shot to that. The year before, I'd gotten a bad distance, and luckily Johnny saved me there. So now heading up to the head of the lake, Again, you can start to see the water droplets. It was kind of like a soft rain, but you can also see in the punching of the ground, I'm making sure that I find good fresh ground. Now I'm coming to another massive table. He jumps out well, and I had planned to do this in 7, but we got there in 6, and he says, "Hold on, Mom, here we go." So I'm back at the end of my reins, but I'm able to balance, keep my hands wide, rides that corner great, balance again for up bank, and he just does it beautifully. Probably the fence I don't like the most on cross country is an up bank, but here you go. You see it from my view, and we're going in the water. Want to get his eye point of turn on that corner, staying in the flag. And again, you have to keep your power and impulsion without the horses getting strung out, so you don't leave a leg or take off too long to a up bank. So coming now to another breather type table. Jumps that right out of stride, trying to hug the fence there, saving some ground, making sure I get fresh ground. Again, I was number 35, so I still had pretty decent footing. And now this coming to another very accurate question here, and is very, very narrow. And when we had the 3 stride, and he, such a lovely horse, holds his line amazing. You can see us galloping up the hill, heading towards the accuracy question. Ears are pricked. He has a fantastic gallop. And you're going to see I'm going to change my body as I come closer to the fence. I'm going to just rebalance him there. Really want to make sure I hold that line. Hands are wide in between both my leg and my hand, and he just nails it perfectly. Probably one of my favorite combinations on this course. And now we have the bigger pull heading towards the hollow with this double rail just off this corner here. And gets a good shot to that. And we have experience from 2015, and kind of I know where he can take his breaths and where I can leg him up. So now that we're up to the hollow, really have to hold my shoulder on the backside. And then he just stays super straight to this super narrow arrowhead and just pings it. So here you'll see, I really got to hold my body. And then it ends up being just a gymnastics exercise. And now heading down that hill, which we're about 7 minutes. This is where he can kind of reoxygenate and catch his breath, as going down the hill is easy for them. And now heading to the big ditch and log tree. This thing is ginormous. So I come around the corner, want to make sure I get a good shot to it, as I have a water combination that comes up right after it. So you're going to be coming in at a gallop pace, and then you got to rebalance here because this is a pretty upright drop into the water. And then he jumps in pretty steep. So I ended up adding 1 more stride than I necessarily would have liked, but it still rode really nicely. And then we turn and head for the footbridge, which again, you got to keep your pace up. You don't want to catch that on a decrease, and he just skips right over that. So here you can see I have his shape a little. Jumps in super tidy. And it was really good. So we added the 1 stride there versus like Mickey Young left out a stride. But it's just an adapting to how your horse goes. Now we're at the Normandy Bank. Kind of slipped a little bit on the top of the hill, and he was super good to stay on his feet and do the combination. I was super proud of him there. That was a hard line to kind of pull off, and he did it for me. And now we're coming up around the 9 minutes and coming to this big table. So I have to start really helping him over the fence a little bit with my shoulders on the back side. You'll see I'm holding the shoulders back just to support the horse. And now we come to this blind. It's a little bit of a blind turn to this corner. It was causing quite a lot of problems. And I saw the flyer to it and took it. And Johnny just held the line for me. And now keep kicking on, heading to the coffin question. And he's still feeling really good. And again, for this coffin question, I got to have a little bit of shape, but my brakes are kind of wearing out just a little bit. But he gets it back for me, jumps that clean over the ditch and over that massive chevron type. And now you'll see through my point of view coming to this corner, that was not an easy ride, but luckily I'm on a great horse. You can see how the footing is getting a little chewed up, so I'm trying to stay off of that and get the easier ground for him to gallop on. And now coming to this coffin again through my point of view. Got to hold my shoulder, keep coming. And now we've got this gallop up the hill. We're nearing the end of the course. We've got this another table. And again, it's really important for me as a rider to help my horse and come in at the correct pace to save his energy. And coming to the last water on course. It's crazy how many water jumps we had on this course. We had, I think, 5. Coming now to the duck. He's still jumping pretty good for me. Kind of lands a little stalled there, but moves off my leg. Coming to the duck. And then he's responding still really well when I ask him to go. And heading to the table. I kept telling him, one more. I was like, oh, one more combination is what I meant. So coming to this cabin, I opted to take the right-handed side just because it was my preference. And then it's like, finally, we've got one more jump. And you'll see him coming in. I have to rebalance still. And our optimum time is, I think, 11:20 was the optimum time. And he responded so well at the end for me here. I still felt like I had a lot of horse left. And coming to the last fence, you always want to make sure you keep riding to the last fence, but there's such a relief when you see it there in the work that you've done with your horse. And he pings over it, and it's just such an elation. We ended up having 7.2 time penalties, and we finished 8th overall and ended up being alternates for the Olympics. So one of the best rides of my life.
He is so good.